Emily. When I informed my mother-in-law that I intended to return to my hometown for childbirth, her response was unequivocal. By all means, go back. I don't want to see your face. Those words brought me immense joy, as I had eagerly awaited them. You won't have to see me anymore, rest assured. Emily. I'm Emily, on the verge of turning 28. My mother passed away from an illness when I was just 2 years old. With my father, a busy man managing a century-old clothing company, I was primarily raised by my grandmother. Living under my father's strict guidance, I followed his instructions obediently. This regimented lifestyle left no room for romantic pursuits, and I had resigned myself to the belief that it was my destiny. After completing college, I briefly worked as my father's secretary in his company. However, he found it challenging to work together and compelled me to resign. Despite my friends landing jobs, dating, and getting married, my father insisted that I didn't need to work. So, I wanted to work too. I confided in my father one night. Emily's father, Dad, can I work? No. He dismissed the idea without seeking any explanation. Emily. Why not? Because you don't need to work. But I also need to step out into society and gain more experience. Emily, don't talk back. I'm not talking back. I'm not saying anything wrong. You should just stay at home, Emily. If you say that, I'll leave home. I'll leave home and go to work from there. Emily, stop it. No, I am an adult. I won't always do as you say. Distraught, I left the room, and even in the solitude of my own space, I cried for an extended period. Later, I reached out to my college friend, Lisa. Can I come to your house now? Sure, but what's wrong? And can you go out at this time? I can't right now, but I'll figure it out. Can I stay at your place for a while? Emily. Quietly, I packed my belongings and left home to seek refuge at Lisa's luxurious condominium. I discreetly left a note on my desk, explaining my temporary absence to my father. Upon arrival at Lisa's place, she welcomed me with my favorite coffee. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa? What's going on, Emily? I poured out the details of my argument with my father and my decision to leave home. Lisa. That's awful, Emily. You've had no freedom at all. Her empathetic words stirred fresh tears. Until now, I did everything my father said, thinking it was normal. But suddenly, I've started craving my own freedom. Lisa. That's completely normal. It's strange that your father doesn't allow you to work. I'd like to meet many people and have a good time too. Emily. So does your dad know you're here? I left a note saying I was going to a friend's place, but he doesn't know any of my friends. He might be frantically searching for you right now. Maybe. Lisa. It's late now. Shall we go to bed? Yeah, I'm really tired. Lisa arranged a separate room for me to sleep in. The next day, when Lisa left for work, I found about 10 missed calls from my dad on my phone. Feeling sorry for him, I sent an email to reassure him not to worry. In the evening, after Lisa finished work, she called me. I'm going out for a drink. Why don't you join us? Emily. Having little experience with social drinking, I was excited about going out. When I arrived at the location Lisa mentioned, I found her waiting with 2 men. Lisa. Apologies for the wait. So, who are these gentlemen? Lisa gestured toward the shorter man and said, This is my boyfriend. And the tall guy over there is single and ready to mingle. The tall man, Max. Nice to meet you. I'm Max. Emily. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Lisa. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Emily. That marked the beginning of our relationship. Max worked at a small company in the apparel industry. Initially, I wondered if it resembled my father's company, but I swiftly dismissed the thought. Max's family dynamic was the opposite of mine, with only his mother present. However, he didn't delve into the details, and I refrained from prying. One day, Max expressed, I'd like to meet your father, Emily. While I have been corresponding with my father through email since leaving home, I had no immediate plans to return, so meeting him was not on my agenda. I'll consider it, but I'd love to meet your mom, Max. Sure, even today is fine if you want. Really? Today works. I should get a gift then. Yeah, my mom loves that kind of thing. Later, I discovered my mother-in-law not only loved such gifts, but also grew quite irritable if I failed to bring them. En route to Max's house, I picked up a cake at a bakery. Upon reaching Max's place, his mother was already waiting at the front door. Mother-in-law. When I inquired from Max why his mother was there, he mentioned sending her a message from the bakery. Emily. My mother-in-law fixed her gaze on me and asked, "And your name is?" Mother-in-law. Ah, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you. Mother-in-law. What do you do for a living? Emily. I'm currently unemployed, but I plan to work soon. Mother-in-law. Oh, so you're just idling about. How nice. It must be to be a rich young lady. I'm not wealthy. That's why I want to work. Mother-in-law. You don't need to talk back. What do your parents do? Emily. My mother passed away when I was young. My father works at a company. Mother-in-law. Max. How long are you two going to chat out here? Let's head inside. Mother-in-law. Right. By the way, Max, did she bring anything? Surely she didn't come empty-handed. In a rush, I handed my mother-in-law the paper bag containing the cake. Emily. It's not much, but... She grabbed the bag almost forcefully from my hand, peering inside with a critical eye. I didn't really need anything, but I suppose I'll take it. In the brief minutes spent conversing with my mother-in-law, I grew to resent her deeply. I felt sorry for anyone tethered to such a person as a mother-in-law. As we entered the living room, my mother-in-law bombarded me with questions to which I offered only bland responses. Nevertheless, she persisted in her interrogation, almost as if I were a criminal suspect. Exhausted by the relentless barrage of one-sided questions, I seized the first opportunity to speak to Max. Emily. Max, I think I should be heading home soon. At that, my mother-in-law's face flushed with anger. Mother-in-law. Do you truly despise being with me that much? Your responses to my inquiries have been half-hearted all along. Max. Mom, please calm down. Mother-in-law. Max, why did you bring such a rude woman here? Surely there are better choices out there. Emily. I retorted sharply. What exactly about me is rude? If there's something I should improve, then kindly enlighten me. My response seemed to only stoke my mother-in-law's ire. Mother-in-law. You're quite cheeky, aren't you? All I ask is that you answer my questions. Emily. I've been answering everything you've asked. Mother-in-law. You dislike me, don't you? I can see it on your face. Emily. I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't bring myself to. I'm just tired and would like to go home. Mother-in-law. Well, aren't you audacious? I wonder what kind of upbringing your parents gave you. They mustn't have been good parents. I would love to see what they look like. Hearing her disparage my parents, I was overcome with sadness and began to cry. Mother-in-law. Now you're crying for sympathy. If you're so eager to leave, then go. It'll be a breath of fresh air. Also, I'll feed this cake you brought to my dog Charlie, but Charlie is quite particular, so he might not touch such a cheap cake. Laughing, she pointed at the cake I had bought. Mother-in-law. Enough, Mom. Max. Max, you really don't know how to choose a partner. Max scowled at his mother's words and retorted, Why must you always argue? Can't you act your age for once? His response seemed to drain his mother of energy instantly. Max. All I want is a good wife for you, Max. Max. I understand. But I'm an adult too, you know? I'm not a child anymore. Emily. I affirmed, and I can handle my own affairs. Upon hearing Max's words, his mother's eyes filled with tears, and she left the room with a despondent expression. I decided to depart as well, but Max followed me and offered an apology. Max. Emily, I'm sorry for my mother's harsh words. She must be feeling threatened. thinking she's losing me to you. I'll speak to her about this, okay? Please don't let it deter you from returning. Emily. His mother's comments about my parents hurt deeply, Max. I'm not sure I want to see her again. As I uttered those words, a wave of sadness washed over me, and I collapsed into Max's arms, tears streaming down my face. Max held me close, and after a while, he suggested, "How about we go somewhere now?" Barely nodding, I left the house with Max. Since Max didn't have a car, we took the train and disembarked at a station near the beach. We sat on a bench by the sandy shore, gazing out at the sea for a long while. 2 months passed since then, and I discovered that I was pregnant. When I broached the subject with Max, he proposed. "Max, let's get married. We don't need a lavish ceremony, but let's make it official. We can reside at my house, all right? I don't earn much at my job, so renting an apartment is out of the question. I'll ensure my mother refrains from making unwarranted remarks to you, Emily." While living with his mother wasn't ideal, there seemed to be no other option. Emily. Okay, I'll do my best to get along with your mother. And so, I found myself moving into my mother-in-law's house because of our impending marriage. I returned home to inform my father about it. His face lit up upon seeing me. Emily's father. It's wonderful to see you looking well. I know we've been in touch, but it's been a while since we last met. What's the matter, Dad? I have something important to share. His demeanor shifted immediately. I recounted my encounter with Max, my pregnancy, and our intention to marry. My father listened silently. When I finished, he simply said, "Well, congratulations. I'm eager to meet my grandchild." His smile seemed forced. Emily. Dad, thank you. I'm sorry for causing you sorrow as your daughter. I sat as tears flowed freely down my cheeks. My father too shed tears. I had anticipated anger, but his gentle words wounded me even more. I ended up residing with my mother-in-law due to our impending marriage. Lisa, who had been supporting me since I left home, offered her words. Lisa. You better show me your cute baby's face soon. Emily. Of course, and you should tie the knot soon too. Lisa. I'm eager to walk down the aisle, but he's dragging his feet. But I believe things will fall into place. Let's dine out together again. I initially scheduled the move for Sunday, but my mother-in-law deemed it an unlucky day, so I rescheduled it for Saturday. The relocation went smoothly on Saturday morning. While the movers were busy, my mother-in-law stood by, watching them. Despite repeated warnings from the movers to step back for safety, she remained obstinate. Once the move concluded, my mother-in-law beckoned me over and said, "You didn't settle the payment, did you?" Emily. I didn't catch that. Mother-in-law. She pretended not to understand and walked away, then handed something to the movers' leaders. Understanding dawned on me, but when she returned, she said, "Emily, dear, it seemed like you were hesitant, so I paid on your behalf. Of course, you'll reimburse me later." Mother-in-law. She then cited an exorbitant sum. It far exceeded the norm, so I questioned, "You paid that much?" Emily. Goodness, it was excessive. Mother-in-law. It's not about the amount, but perhaps it was a tad too generous. It's the sentiment that matters in such situations. Stinginess invites curses. I'm not being stingy. I refrained from further discussion, aware it would lead to another clash. My mother-in-law wore an expression that said, "I'm always right." That's when Max intervened and asked my mother-in-law, "Mom, what's going on? What'd you say to Emily?" Mother-in-law. Just a trivial matter, she replied curtly before walking away. Max, are you all right? I warned her not to hassle you. Emily. Thank you. Preferring not to disclose the near altercation with my mother-in-law to Max, I fear he might mention it to her, exacerbating her hostility toward me. Following the move, my mother-in-law scarcely interacted with me, evidently avoiding me. There were weeks when she wouldn't speak to me at all, and those were peaceful days. One day, Max brought home some work documents in an envelope bearing the company name, Star Textiles Incorporated, which startled me. It was a name I'd often heard while working at my father's company. They were one of our subcontractors. Max. Yeah, why do you ask? Emily. Just curious. I realized I know very little about your company. I refrained from disclosing that his company was a subcontractor for my father's, sensing it better left unsaid. Max. Well, we're merely a small subcontractor. If our parent company decides to sever ties, we go under instantly and all employees would lose their jobs. Max chuckled with a touch of sadness. About a month later, Max began returning home late from work and seemed despondent, prompting my inquiry. Emily. You've been working late lately. Is everything all right? You seem different. He admitted, the company is in trouble. Emily. Like bankruptcy? Max. Max nodded. Our parent company suddenly slashed our orders by half. Now our boss is pleading with them daily to maintain the status quo. We're also scouting for new clients. But if neither pans out, bankruptcy is inevitable. As Max recounted the situation, I considered appealing to my father to assist Max's company. However, my father adhered strictly to business principles and wouldn't extend help based on personal sentiments. Additionally, the number of business partners seemed to have dwindled significantly. I divulged to Max that my father's company was the parent company of Star Textiles. Max was initially surprised, but then implored me earnestly. Max! Emily! Please implore your father not to cut ties with us. Emily. I'm sorry, Max. My father is business-minded. Personal matters won't sway him. Max. Could you try, Emily? Emily. It won't change anything. As I spoke, Max sank to his knees before me. Max. Please, I beg you. Emily. Stop, Max. Don't do this. I'll speak to my father, but I doubt it'll make a difference. As Max raised his head, tears of relief streaked his face. That evening, I called my father and relayed Max's desperate plea. Emily. So the company Max works for is Star Textiles. I suppose I must assist them. I was taken aback. I had anticipated my father, with his stringent business ethos, to refuse outright. Emily's father. I have two conditions. First, we'll maintain business with Star Textiles as usual, but I want Max to join our company. Second, you and Max will move in with me. Do you agree? Emily. So, you're suggesting Max transfers to your company? Emily's father. I'll discuss it with him. But why the need for both of you to move in with me? Emily. All right, but why reduce dealings with Star Textiles initially? Emily's father. A new company presented an enticing offer, prompting us to consider them. However, upon investigation, we discovered their history of reneging on promises, leading us to reconsider. Hence, even without my intervention, Star Textiles would have been unaffected. Emily. Perhaps. My father chuckled, and I couldn't help but join in. After hanging up, I promptly conveyed my father's conditions to Max. While relieved that Star Textiles was out of danger, Max seemed apprehensive about transitioning to my father's company. Max, it's difficult for me to consider joining your father's company, Emily. I've invested a lot at Star Textiles and have good colleagues there. Emily. I'll relay your sentiments to my father. I dialed my father once more, relaying Max's concerns. To which my father responded. Emily's father. He did say that, huh? He's a reliable, honorable man. Understood. He can continue excelling at Star Textiles. But my stance on you two moving into my house remains unchanged. Emily. Understood. Post-call, Max was elated upon hearing my father's decision. Max. I told Max, just remember, don't let your mother know about my father's company. If she finds out, she'll start nagging again. Max. Got it. Several weeks later, I made the decision to return home for the birth of our child. Despite it being just my father and elderly grandmother at home, it felt preferable to being under the care of my mother-in-law. Waiting until my mother-in-law was sipping her afternoon tea in the living room, I approached her. Emily. Mother-in-law, regarding my childbirth, I've decided to return home. It's just my dad and my lively grandmother. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law cast me a venomous look and retorted, "By all means, go back. I don't want to see your face." Unfazed, I responded calmly, "Emily, you won't have to see me anymore, so rest assured." Mother-in-law: "What? Emily, I won't be returning here anymore, and soon Max will be relocating to my parents' house." Mother-in-law: "What nonsense. Max is too occupied with work to move. Emily, it's sorted now." Just then, Max entered and informed his mother, "Mom, things are looking up at my workplace. Emily played a key role." Mother-in-law: "What are you talking about? Emily's dad owns the parent company of my company, Max." At this revelation, my mother-in-law's voice rose as she fixed her gaze on me before stating, "Emily, I've been terribly rude to you until now." Deeply apologetic, she bowed. Mother-in-law: "I had no idea you were the daughter of the parent company's owner. May I request a favor? I'd like to reside together in your parents' house." Max: "Mom, no, you should stay here." Emily: "I'm not keen on living with you." Mother-in-law: "I'd rather not be reminded of our past encounters. Please understand." With tears in her eyes, my mother-in-law pleaded, "Mother-in-law, I know it seems harsh, but I can't bear to be apart from Max. Please." Max: "No, I can't agree to that." Emily: "Please stop. Your past conduct has led to this situation, mother-in-law." I addressed my tearful mother-in-law, who remained kneeling. Emily: "You brought this upon yourself." 6 months later, Max, our newborn daughter Kay, and I paid a visit to my mother-in-law's house. However, it was eerily quiet, devoid of any human presence. Max: calling out to his mother, Max received no response. "Max, did you mention our visit?" Max: "No, I thought it would be a surprise. I wonder where she is." Suddenly, my mother-in-law emerged from the bathroom, looking severely frail. She remained impassive upon seeing us. The kitchen was strewn with empty instant noodle packets, and unwashed dishes littered the sink. Max: "Mom, are you all right?" My mother-in-law glanced at Max, but remained silent. Max: "Mother-in-law, we brought your favorite cake." As I offered the cake, my mother-in-law seized it and began devouring it without a word. Echoing my earlier sentiment, I repeated, "Emily, you brought this upon yourself, mother-in-law."